Hi! If you haven't seen the first part of the story Birthday Gift, check out the description and there you'll find a playlist with the first part. And if you already have, make some tea and have fun watching. Thinking only of yourself? Chapter 2. I was already lying under the covers when Irene came into the bedroom. She took off her clothes, heading for the bathroom. I froze in anticipation. Here. Now. Here. Come on, baby. Come on. Imagine my disappointment when a few minutes later, she showed up in her old college t-shirt. Oh shit. Holy shit. What a bummer, I thought to myself. I'd be satisfied with even that modest purple today. Irene slipped into bed and then pulled out a book to read. No wonder we didn't have a lovemaking party. She read until almost 11 every night. I was a little annoyed, but kept silent as I didn't want to screw up this weekend. Irene broke our silence. Remember, Jim, I told Lisa I'd help her on Sunday. I will be away for a few hours, so I need you to watch the kids during that time. I've also asked Lisa and Ken to come to dinner with us tomorrow night. I hope you don't mind? So you better get a good night's sleep tonight. You're gonna need all your energy, because the kids and I have a full day planned for you tomorrow. She kissed me on the cheek and went back to her book. Damn. I guess that answers my question about whether or not I'm going to get anything tonight, I said to myself, and turned around to go back to sleep. Well, okay. At least Saturday will be a night to remember. I wonder if the kids will be staying overnight at Lisa and Ken's house. Maybe that's why they're coming with us tomorrow. I fell asleep with a smile on my face and my little buddy in my hand, wishing for a quicker Saturday night. I know how you feel about me. Well, that's just the way I am. A fool. At 8 in the morning, the kids were jumping all over me and yelling at me to get up and come down for breakfast. I grabbed Terry, threw her over my shoulder, took Keith under my armpit, and laughing, dragged them both into the kitchen. Happy birthday, Daddy, they shouted as I looked at the food standing on the table. French toast, waffles, eggs, and sausage were all beautifully laid out and arranged. Irene sat with a cup of coffee in her robe and informed me that the kids had made everything themselves. So we all sat and ate until we were full. I'm delighted, I said, as I stood up and kissed each of them on the tops of their heads. And then I started tickling them, chasing them around the house, hooting and laughing. Then they announced to me that they were going to mow the lawn and sweep the garage. They just needed a little help getting the lawn mower started. Irene was sitting there smiling and sipping her coffee. She told me it was their idea. Needless to say, it took us 3 hours to do everything. If I had been doing things alone, it would have only taken me about half an hour. The kids were dirty, tired, and now they were a little bored with the whole thing. I told them to go inside and get cleaned up while I washed the cars. By 5, I was done and headed inside. I found Irene in the kitchen, chatting on the phone. When I reached for her, she pushed me away. You're dirty and smelly, she hissed. Go take a shower and wash up. We have a reservation for 6:15. And went back to talking on the phone. I was a little annoyed, but I figured she'd finally blow my brains out tonight, so I didn't resent her. I just remembered that when we'd gotten married, we couldn't keep our hands off each other. Now it was just the opposite. It used to be that if we felt the bond between us weakening, the routine starting to separate us, we'd slip away from everyone and spend time alone, just the two of us, so we wouldn't lose touch, you know? To hide away in a place where we could enjoy each other without rushing, savor each other. However, that was a long time ago. With kids and work, there was less and less time to regain sensuality. Dinner was crazy. The kids couldn't sit still, and they were running around like crazy. Lisa was correct, but Ken kept up with me. He made silly jokes about my age, and asked me 3 times if I needed little blue pills, figuring I needed a chemistry boost now that I was 40. I was tempted to tell him to fuck off, but I didn't want to ruin Irene's mood, so I kept quiet and tolerated it. God damn it. We could have had a nice party at home, just invite her friends over. Why go all the way across town to spend 3 hours in a coffee shop where Irene could chat with her girlfriend? What a lame night. Lisa and Erie were talking quietly to themselves all night. When I approached them, they would shut up and stare at me expectantly, making it clear that their conversations were none of my business. It was the lousiest birthday party of my life, so I was very happy to have the opportunity to thank everyone for a wonderful evening and head home. As the kids started getting ready for bed, I said to myself, I guess they don't need a bedtime story tonight. Really. They were so tired from the day's chores that they were asleep by 9 o'clock. I opened a bottle of wine and poured 2 glasses to cheer them up. I found Erie in the laundry room, throwing laundry into the machine and handed her a glass, but she stopped me. I've had more than enough to drink tonight, darling. I'll meet you in the bedroom, okay? Shit. Oh, come on, it's okay, I thought, as I drank both glasses and headed for the bedroom. I brushed my teeth, spritzed on some cologne, and lay naked under the sheets when Irene walked in, yawning. She'd spent more time than usual in the bathroom and came out to her starved for evenings of shared lovemaking, romantically inclined husband wearing a smelly t-shirt. A t-shirt? My mind screamed. Where's the black tight or slutty red stuff? Did I want her to wear something from the stash tonight? What the hell is going on? My thoughts were racing in a panic. If you want to get naughty tonight, let's get on with it quick, because the wine at dinner is making me drowsy, Irene announced. Holy shit, I've been waiting all goddamn week for her to come out in an old t-shirt. And she said that if I didn't do it with her soon, she'd fall asleep under me? What's the matter? I was angry, and the situation went downhill from there. The miserable lovemaking began. She just stopped liking it. There was no warmth or feeling behind the kissing, no matter how hard I tried. When I touched her, she warned me that her period was coming soon, and that she would be too sensitive, so she asked me to be gentle with her. However, she liked it when I moved lower. I had always enjoyed doing this with her, and this evening was no exception. For years I had asked Irene to shave her hair there for me, but she didn't even like to trim it there. So she always had a thick bush. Well, whatever. The main thing is to get to the cherished one, and shaving is a secondary matter. After licking and massaging it with my thumb for about 10 minutes, it was hot. Even after 2 months of celibacy, I hadn't lost the skill. For God's sake, finish me off, Irene shouted. Oh yes, she moaned. Don't stop, don't stop, she screamed again as I continued to work on her. After about 5 minutes, she was already collapsing from what she had just experienced with me. Reaching out, Irie pulled me to her face, kissed me on the lips, and informed me that it was my turn. I expected something different, but it didn't happen. Just the same lame excuses. My jaw hurts. You're taking too long. But it's my birthday, I pleaded. Well, she sighed. I'll do it once. She gave in to me. She gave in out of pity. Can you say those words out loud without getting angry? It was the best moment of my life. It felt like the first time. That's all. In her mind, I should be pissed. I was ready to say, let's stop this mourning process. I was on top, and she was just lying there bored and waiting for me to finish this mourning process. For some reason, I wanted to offer her something interesting to count while I was doing something stupid. God, I almost stopped. But then I thought it would be at least 2 weeks before she'd let me back in the saddle, so I'd better make the most of it, since I had the highest permission. Her suffering was complete, and she instantly jumped up and rushed to the bathroom to wash up, while I just lay on the bed in black depression. If you throw a bone to a dog, at least make sure there's some meat on it, I thought. 2 minutes later, Irene was back in bed under the covers. That was nice, she said, kissing me on the lips. But you smell bad. She turned her back to me. I wanted to ask, where do you think I've spent the last 15 minutes? Stupid. I had to do my best not to scream. Now I think I should have done it then. But alas, I didn't. I just got up, went to the bathroom, washed my face, and went back to bed. I was up all night. It came like an epiphany. If she didn't wear any of those outfits today, what was she saving them for? I asked myself. Is she cheating on me? No, she can't do that. No way. Irene would never do that to me. But what about the underwear? What are they for? Or rather, who's it for? They say the husband's always the last to know. Probably the psyche somehow protects the brain of a man, and a woman too. Keeps him safe from information that could cause a disaster. Offers the most ridiculous explanations for the actions of an unfaithful spouse. And they seem reasonable. Although, in fact, the deceived always receives clear and direct signals of treachery. I was no longer in a cheerful mood, and everyone felt it from the moment I came downstairs. I drank my coffee in silence and refused breakfast. Irene reminded me that she was leaving at 1 o'clock and should be back by 4. I mumbled something, continuing to read the Sunday paper. When she left, I said to the kids, let's get out of here and go to the mall. That always lifted their spirits. I wanted to make my chicks happy, let them think the family was doing well. We were about to leave when I looked in Irene's closet to check my supposed birthday presents. Damn it. 2 sets were gone. The red and black were missing. Maybe she returned them, I thought. But then why not all 3? Do you know how crazy it is to trust without a second thought? When we got back after 5 o'clock, Irene was already cooking dinner. The kids told her about going to the movies at the mall and that I'd bought each of them new clothes. and they showed her the new bags before they ran upstairs. Dinner went quietly, and the evening was even worse. I avoided Irene because I was afraid of snapping and yelling at her. I didn't understand what the hell was going on, and I wasn't prepared for what I might hear. The prospect of destroying my family terrified me, so we just went to bed. Monday morning I got up and left early, before everyone was awake. I don't remember driving to work. I don't remember most of the morning either. I answered all greetings with a weak smile, and stayed in my office all day. By 10 o'clock, I snapped out of it when one of my suppliers called to say he was going to be 3 days late with a delivery. Yelled at the poor guy, chewed him up and spit him out. My door was wide open, and everyone could hear the ugly scene. By 2 o'clock, I had straightened out 2 more vendors on delivery and pricing when Carol walked into my office. "What the hell is wrong with you, Jim? If you don't stop, we won't have any suppliers left and you and I will be out of a job. I can't afford to be unemployed. You might like living under a bridge, but personally, I don't like the damp." She rested her hands on my desk and looked me in the eye. "Shit, I thought you'd be over the moon after the weekend you had planned." She grinned. "Carol, don't." "Fine, don't. Fine. Fine, let's just ruin it all." She swung her hand around. "Looks like the weekend wasn't as good as anyone expected." Carol leaned over with a concerned expression on her face. "And considering the way you've been acting all day, I can only assume it sucked." I thought for a moment, then said, "Carol, you see, fuck it, I haven't seen one of those wonderful outfits all weekend. All I had was a quickie Saturday night. She'd gone somewhere for 4 hours yesterday, and quietly had taken 2 of the 3 sets with her. If I didn't know her, I'd say she was having an affair." Carol just stood there with her mouth open. "Jim, think about this. Irene would never cheat on you. She loves you. I thought so too until the last few months, and now I'm not so sure. She has time for everyone but me, and I'm sick of it. Starting today, I'm going to start looking out for her. I'll hire a detective if I have to. But, just don't do anything stupid. No bloodshed, okay?" Carrie's worried. "Have you thought about talking to her about it? Maybe there's a logical explanation," she suggested. "You know, Carol, I can just see myself saying to her, 'Irene, are you having an affair? Are you making love to someone else besides me?' How would that look? Even if she was guilty, she'd still deny it, so talking wouldn't help. So what are you gonna do?" "I'll just keep a low profile, and if I catch her in the act, I'll kick her to the curb. Life's too short to go on the way we've been going for the last 6 months, and I promise I'll watch my temper. No excesses. I need that paycheck as much as you do. So let's get back to work. And thank you for your support. Know that I appreciate and respect you. Honestly, I was excited to work this time because my family life was crap. Irie and I walked on eggshells around each other, and the kids noticed the change. What happened to you, Dad? They asked me Thursday night. You stopped making breakfast, and you're not even here when we get up. I used to love having breakfast as a family in the morning," Terry said. Irene noticed the change too, from Jolly Jim to Attila the Hun, but apparently didn't know the reason why. She was just getting used to the new Jim as he disappeared over the weekend. Maybe if she'd been a little nicer to me, that Jimmy would have come back. But Irene must have thought I was a stupid fool and would take her antics for granted. She's lost her guard, that's her trouble. She'd been getting her love pleasures elsewhere lately and had neglected me too much. She took control and my seat wasn't even in the passenger seat. She decided my place was in the trunk. I suffered bitterness and anger. Saturday night, Irene reminded me that she had to help Lisa again for a couple hours, Sunday, and that it would be fun to eat barbecue steaks when she got back. I mumbled something about getting steaks, and that by the time she got back, I'd have it all done. "By the way, what are you helping Lisa with anyway?" I asked. "Just some of her new business, that's all," she explained. And at the same time, she looked strangely embarrassed. For a second, even for a split second. But it said a lot to me. I was starting to get smart. She was just starting to do it, and I wanted to help her before she got established. Irene explained to me. I nodded in agreement and said I was going upstairs to change. As I passed Irene's restroom, I decided to look inside. What the hell? There were 2 new outfits in there now, besides the dawn red one. I wanted to grab the bag, throw it on the kitchen table, and ask what the fuck, but I had another plan. Calling my mom, I asked if she could watch the kids for a few hours. I was hoping to see for myself what was going on, if anything was going on at all. Saturday night, I really wanted to shake Irene up and ask her, did she realize what she was doing? I wanted to tell her that if she was bowling with her life, our marriage was over. You know how when you're so angry you just want to scream? Well, That's how I felt all the time. But instead of yelling and raging, I started drinking. 3 beers at dinner and a few more afterward. And by the time I walked into the bedroom, I was in no condition to do anything. Irene smiled at me and asked me if I wanted to mess around. I looked at her sadly, told her I didn't want a pity lovemaking evening with her, and went to bed. I woke up twice, and for a moment I thought I heard her sobbing, but I just went back to sleep. Breakfast was tense, and when the kids were done and out, Irene spoke. "Jim, I know we haven't been close lately, but your comment last night was inappropriate," she began. "I never give you a lovemaking evening out of pity. I always enjoy sleeping with you," she told me. Not wanting to get into details at that point, I didn't pursue the topic further. I simply told her that I would take the kids with me to visit their grandparents and that I would talk to her about it tonight. I kissed her on the cheek, told her I'd see her if she came back, and went to get the kids. Irie shouted after me, "Jimmy, what do you mean, if? What are you talking about?" Without turning around, I just waved my hand. After dropping the kids off at my parents' house, I waited discreetly in the car for Lisa and Irene, well hidden in the alley. When they passed me, I followed them, about 5 cars behind. In doing so, I felt like some kind of bastard, chasing my own wife. But I needed to find out what the hell was going on. And I could see that something was going on. But the unknown was tormenting my heart and my brain. The 2 of them drove out of town and turned off toward a Best Western motel near the freeway. I watched as they got out of the car, checked in, and then entered rooms 108 and 109. Shortly thereafter, a car arrived with 2 other women who also entered room 109. Perhaps Irene was telling the truth. I was about to leave as 2 cars full of men pulled up. About 8 guys knocked on room 108 and Lisa let them in. What the hell kind of business is Lisa running? I asked myself as I slowly approached the room. I heard music as another car pulled up. 3 guys got out, walked up to the door and knocked. Some guy opened the door and yelled for them to hurry up as the show was about to start. I followed them into the room and stood against the wall behind the backs of the visitors. All the furniture had been pushed to the side. Lisa came out of the next room. "Remember, guys, cash only and no credit cards," she explained. "You're bidding on the clothes, not the girl, unless the 2 of you agree on something else," she said with a laugh. "Each girl has 2 outfits, so if you get outbid for the first one, you'll have a second chance. With that, let's get the road show started," she said, as the tall blonde came out of the other room. She was wearing the smallest piece of underwear I had ever seen. It left nothing to the imagination, and she had a gorgeous, simply one of the best bodies I'd ever seen. Bidding started at $25, soon rose to $200, and finally topped $300. The lucky bidder and the model went to another room, and after about 5 minutes, he came back with a big smile on his face. I asked the guy next to me, "What's going on in the other room?" "Whatever the girl will allow," he told me. "I've heard stories of stormy nights after all the bidding is done, but this is my first time here, so I can't be sure. Still, I brought a lot of money with me," he said, showing me a wad of cash. The second girl, a short brunette with small breasts, came out wearing a sheer floor-length robe. "Hey, guys, wouldn't you like to see your woman in something like this?" she asked, opening it up to reveal her seductive body. The crowd went wild when the price went over $375. The guy next to me winced and rushed over to the girl. She led him into the next room, and he returned about 10 minutes later. When he sat down next to me, I asked him what he had gotten. For an extra $75, she gave me a nice bonus. If I had another 100, I would have taken her for the night too. "Oh, well, maybe next time." Lisa re-entered from the other room. "Okay, guys, the next model needs no introduction, so let's all join together in welcoming Carrie." The crowd exploded, and everyone stood up. I couldn't see anything, and all I could hear was hooting and whistling. As I stood up, I saw what it was all about. There stood Irene in the red suit I'd found last week in a valise, with her lace. Everything was in plain sight. Then something caught my eye. She was walking around, twirling her butt, and asking guys if they would like to see their girlfriend in that outfit. Using my cell phone, I took some pictures and a 10-second movie of what was going on. I hadn't seen Irene look this sexy in years. To me, she was dressed, let's just say, more modestly. Irie tossed her shoulder-length brown hair from side to side, teasing the men. The guys applauded and whistled. I wiped away a tear as I watched the bids go from $100 to $250 and then to $400. When it looked like the bidding was over, I shouted out, "2 cents! Wake up, buddy!" Someone spoke up. "The bid is $400. What the hell are you talking about 2 cents?" I stepped forward, and Irene saw me. "That's all my marriage is worth right now," I announced, and walked out. When Irene tried to get to me, there was a lot of commotion, but the guy who offered $400 grabbed her arm. "Come on, baby, I've got money to get you off," he told her. What happened later, I didn't hear. Things may have settled down, but I was in my car and long gone. My cell phone wouldn't stop ringing, so I just turned it off. When I pulled up to my parents' house, my mom came out with a concerned face. "Irene is trying to find you and sounds very upset. Do you know what's going on, son?" I told her that Irene and I are in serious trouble, and I asked her to watch the kids until Irene takes them home. "Where are you going, Jim?" she asked. "I just want to get away for a while. I need to think about my life," I told her, and I went home. I mean, to what used to be my home. I packed my bags and hit the road. Where was I going? I was just going wherever I wanted to go. At least now I knew why she hadn't been in the mood lately. Sunday afternoons, she got everything she wanted. How could I have been so stupid? About an hour outside of town, I found a small motel and checked in. Going down to the corner store, I picked up 2 6-packs of beer and settled in for a long night of drinking. I knew I would need at least 8 cans to get me to sleep that night. Still, I woke up in a cold sweat 3 times. Monday came all too soon. I turned on my cell phone and got 22 messages from Irene and my parents. I deleted them all. Then I called Carol at work. "Okay, tell me, what the hell did you do yesterday?" she started. "Irene was here crying non-stop, saying you left her. What's this all about, boss?" "Carol, let me get this straight. I'm taking today and tomorrow off to take care of some things. Reschedule my meetings for Wednesday, and be sure to call me if anything goes wrong. You can always reach me on my cell phone." And Irene. Carol was outraged. "That's it. Irene and I are done. I caught her cheating on me yesterday, and like I said, I won't put up with it." "Sorry, boss. Turns out she was dumber than I thought. Is there anything I can do for you?" "Not right now. I need to find a new place to live and a good lawyer. Besides, I'm not quite sure of myself at the moment. I'm upset and afraid of doing something stupid," I told her. Oh well, I had to do something about it. I talked to the retirement fund staff and removed Irene's name from both my 401k and life insurance policies. Then I went to the bank, took half of our savings, and opened a new account in my name only. While doing so, made sure she had enough money in her current account to cover her expenses. I had 2 children that I was seriously worried about. Finally, I cancelled all of our credit cards. Well, you've probably already read how it's done in these cases. It's called pre-divestiture of assets. On Tuesday, I met with our corporate lawyer and got 2 recommendations for attorneys who could handle my divorce at a reasonable price. I talked to both of them in the afternoon and arranged to meet with one on Thursday afternoon. Things were working out well enough except for my marriage, which was now trashed. So this is what my wife was doing with Lisa on Sunday afternoons, I thought, as I turned the wheel and pulled into the driveway. Irene had mentioned that Lisa was starting a new business, but I'd never paid much attention to it. Even when I'd agreed to take care of the kids for a few Sundays while she helped Lisa, I'd never given much thought to the purpose of the business. Well, business and business. What's the big deal? That was until I noticed the missing laundry. "No wonder Irene doesn't want to make love to me anymore," I said, running back and forth in the kitchen. She used to get everything she wanted on Sunday afternoons. Then it hit me. God damn it. Thank God I made it to the bathroom before I spun out. "Shit," I said, rinsing my mouth out. I may not have been the perfect husband, but at least I loved her. When things got bad, I'd tried to rebuild our bond. And her? Maybe she went crazy. Or maybe it was just her hormones that had gone crazy? I waved these thoughts away, realizing that you can't dwell on tragedy at the risk of going insane. But again and again, I came back to the thought of her cheating. I could see Irie's figure in front of me, clad in a lewd red bathing suit,